What are some of the craziest things you've seen people get upset about in D&D? Video games, board games, ect. My two older brothers, around 13-16 then, and I were playing a Mario Party. Oldest brother got so mad that my other brother was winning that he screamed, threw the controller, then ran downstairs. He then booted up the PC and our shared WoW account and threatened to delete my brother's max level 60 main. When the younger brother came to stop him, he pulled up scissors and threatened to stab him. No stabbings occurred and no characters ended up being deleted after some calming down, thankfully. And that's the last time we played Mario Party with my oldest brother. Worst of it, he wasn't even in last place. I was behind the army. My friend broke my controller when I tapped him out on the UFC game. We had similar experience with the game and he said that submissions were cheating, then refused to give me the $60 for a new one. My friends and I have absolutely freaked out playing Mario Baseball on GameCube. That game is harder than most things we've played as a group. The NPCs know when you start winning and beat the crap out of you when it happens. The Mario sports titles on GameCube were no joke. NPC or versus friends. Almost as good a friendship destroyer as Mario Party. My local game store was running an open game of MERP, Middle-earth roleplay. We're all running through some pretty traditional scenarios, it being Tolkien and all, giant rats, bats, etc. At low levels especially, these things can be dangerous, and the GM is doing a great job of setting the scene for us. Well, one guy is just snarking the entire time about how boring and generic the game is, getting on everyone's nerves at this point. Well, a decent way into the game, he decides to just start attacking the other players in the middle of a fight. We're all reasonably calling him on it. He just keeps attacking until we have no choice but to counter and kill his character. He just gets up, thanks us for letting him out, tells us to enjoy our stock fantasy garbage, and leaves the store. What a douche. When 5th edition came out, I was still pretty inexperienced at D&D, but whatever. We had a gathering to play a one-off tutorial campaign with pre-made characters. I decided to be the healer, who also had some damage spells. Anyways, in the first encounter, I used a 3x3 cube attack on an area to kill the 4 remaining monsters, forgetting that the spell would also hit my allies in the area. 2 of them. One saved, the other didn't, but both lived. Me. Crap. Sorry, I forgot. Oh well, I can heal you. Angry dude. Out of character no. You all piece of crap. Me. In sorry it was an accident. Angry dude. Heal me you be. Me. I'll heal you when you calm down. It's just a game. Angry dude. I am attacking him. He attacks. He hits. Heal me now. Me. Well I'm definitely not healing you now. Angry dude. I attack him again. He crits. I'm at 0 HP. Me. Looking at the other players. You guys are just gonna let him kill the healer? The party tries to stop him but rolls horribly, so he delivers the killing blow. Me. Alright then. I leave to my room. Gotta play 5th edition for about 10 minutes. Wow that guy sounds like an Ashat. The DM should have stepped in. Unless both parties consent to it there shouldn't be any PC PvP. I once had someone knock all the pieces off the table and toss the Monopoly board off the table because someone took all the small houses and just stockpiled them without upgrading to hotels. So we would run out and no one could upgrade their own property. That's what this game is about. Texas Hold'em at a casino. Got Delta KA and the dealer is to my left so I bet last. King Ace come out on the flop. I've flopped a full house. All but one guy fold. The next card is a jack. Other guy raises I call. An ace comes on the river, giving me 4 aces. He raises and I re-raise the max bet. He calls and slaps 2 kings on the table exclaiming kings full grinning ear to ear. I show my cards and his grin melt away and he's pee. He gets up, paces back and forth a few times and then kicked his chair yelling frick. Then security escorted him out while I counted my winnings. It was a 2-4 max table. I think he lost like $30. I had sympathy for the guy until you said the $30. Playing Uno yes. The card game. Online on Xbox 360. I had custom rules set up for the non-ranked game, which allowed you to counter a draw 4 with another draw 4. forcing the next player to either draw 8 or play a draw 4 if they had one. This resulted in some kid being forced to draw 12 cards. He screamed into his mic, called us all the N-word, and quit the game. His voice sounded like he was maybe 10 years old. Again, we were playing a card game online. Mayo, I've had this before. It went around the table, ended with the person who originally played the +4 having to draw 20 cards. She didn't flip out though, she just giggled and started drawing. Next turn she swapped hands with me. I used to play Pokemon TCG competitively. When I first started playing and I was at my first regional tournament, this player, he was 14/15. I must have been about 10/11, was shouting in tears over the fact he thought, in his opinion, that his opponent had cheated. He was going crazy, screaming and crying and saying this player should be DQ'd, etc. Turns out what happened was at a clutch point in the game his opponent was shuffling his own hand around, basically flicking the cards between themselves. It's a great way to funnel your nerves and a nice repetitive motion that channel energy into. And the player felt that he was doing that deliberately to distract him. I can assure you he wasn't. Players do this as habit for the reason I said above. As a result of being distracted, the player made a game costing misplay. I've seen people get more angry and crazy at the game before, but not to anything as trivial as this. People get mad over luck, themselves and actual cheating all the time, but this one always stands out to me as just over the top completely. I gamed with an butthole for years, and anytime things didn't go his way in a tabletop RPG he'd throw a tantrum. Picture a middle-aged man who would scream, throw dice, and sometimes stomp away for things like, he rolled poorly, he forgot his character had an ability that would have been useful in the previous round of combat. Someone tried to be helpful and remind him of one of his character's abilities he forgot about. People tried to split treasure equally, rather than just giving him everything he wanted. Here's the thing. 2 weeks ago I encountered this guy, for only the second time in a year. During the course of our meeting, a hit-and-run driver crashed into his parked car, doing a fair amount of damage to it. Butthole is totally chill about this, and didn't even want to call the police, despite a witness saying they thought a driver was drunk. TL. Doctor, I know a guy who will flip out like he's going to kill you when he rolls dice poorly, yet is totally zen when someone smashes up his car. He represses his rage until he can release it without murdering someone. In Perfect Dark, when we used to play split screen multiplayer, one person would get the Farsight XR20, an alien gun that can see and shoot through walls, and it was pretty much an unwritten rule that everybody had to team up and murder them before they could start reaming everybody with it because it was so OP. Naturally, this meant that every time a person got the Farsight, get excited to cream everybody, then get triple teamed and rage about it. The crazy part is that this would happen literally every single time to everybody, even though we all realized how stupid it was. I remember having that happen. Still one of my favorite games from my childhood. D&D. DM's girlfriend couldn't burn a town to the ground when a commoner slammed a door in her character's face. The rest of the party counted all of her attempts to burn that mofo down. She was used to getting what she wanted and being the center of attention, but when she whined to her DM boyfriend that we weren't letting her have her way, he just shrugged. Burning the town down for petty spite would have derailed the campaign, and we stopped the fire by using the rules appropriately. She then moved on to covertly attempting to assassinate players who had worked against her, which also didn't work. That group didn't last long, but we did have a bit of fun constantly trying to shut the DM's girlfriend down. Just imagine that. But honey, your friends aren't letting me massacre the townsfolk. Had a friend in high school stop talking to me over video games. After a week I thought, man, he's committed to this bit, but now it's been 13 years, so I think this is a real thing. My ex was an avid player of WH40K, the tabletop one, and some other miniature-based strategies as well. In his community there was this dude who, upon rolling the dice poorly, losing many units or simply being overpowered, would either shout profanities at the top of his lungs, throw stuff, or simply pack his minis and leave. So there. One of my ex-friends told me he wished my suicide attempt was successful after his character got killed off in D&D and I failed to resurrect him, as an ice mage, with no healing spells whatsoever. What a dong. Probably when I got hate messages on Xbox Live after winning a few online races in Forza. Nothing unusual so far. There are plenty of idiots like that in online games. Except that this guy messaged me from multiple different accounts to call me so sad XD several times, which I just found hilariously ironic. I used to play Risk with a bunch of friends. I was the only female. One guy hated it when I won a few times to the point where he declared that no woman should take over the world, and he spent every game going forward taking me out even when it meant a loss for him as well. I had someone throw a passive-aggressive fit in my house while playing Super Smash 4 because the Wii U had the yellow, white, red cables, but no HDMI cord. Not particularly upset, but a friend of mine owned a really good spot on Monopoly and he would not sell for any amount of money, not until an offer of 21 $1 bills. That guy plays Monopoly to the maximum potential. More like meta game I guess, but I think it counts. I run a clan in Warframe. Few hundred people, about 20-30 active members. We're a good group, but new people never join the Discord with all the rules listed, so I end up with issues. One that sticks out is a low rank player losing his crap when we wouldn't buy the genuinely worthless stuff he was selling. I mean it when I say useless. We all just got the exact same helmet alert as him. We all have it. Proceeds to explain how I'm an idiot who wants to put down a new player. How my clan is unhelpful because we directed him to Google a few times for meta farming stuff. After we pretty much ignored that, I got a very serious PM about how I should be careful because he might leave the clan. Funny thing, if he had read my rules, he would know that rule 4 is threatening to leave gets you an instant ban. I tell him this, next thing I know the 11-year-old insults are launched and he's banned. Felt so damn good to hit that button. Granted, I've never played Warframe, but it's pretty rare that I've seen people threaten to quit. They usually just leave, or write a whole rand wall and then leave. It sounds like it's a pretty common thing if you had to write a rule for it though. Wow. I had a player's girlfriend who had quit the game. Get really upset that the other players weren't doing it right. We were having fun, the DM hadn't said anything. We weren't having difficulty requiring bailout. We just were RPing in ways she didn't approve of. My team mom paladin who worshipped her goddess through cooking food. Connected to her backstory and DM approved. For example, should just focus on smiting things and 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 things. Guess what? Kimmy, I got bonus EXP for that soup RP. Crap, my party needs somebody to make us soup. My friend and I used to play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube after classes at uni occasionally. If we ever played the Metal Harbor stage and he wasn't the first one to light dash the first trail of rings, he'd reset the race. Every time. LOL WTF. Love that game BTW. Spoons. My grandma is the sweetest thing in this world. She's Mormon, will never hurt anybody, and always sees the good in anyone. But god dang, she is the most savage person alive when she plays spoons. We were each grabbing for a spoon and we both grabbed the spoon at the same time and she just dug her nails into my hand till I let go. She then looked at me with an innocent smile and said, "Sorry honey, I'll never forget that." Spoons. Spoons has all the hatred of Monopoly and Risk, except it's boiled down to a split second so people can actually get on with their dang lives. I know this isn't what you're looking for, but I never get the chance to tell this story. When I was in college, Wii was the newest, coolest thing. I was a poor college student, so I saved for weeks and was finally able to buy one. When I went home for the summer, I brought it with me, and the first night back, I took it over to my sister's house. My sister, her boyfriend, now husband, and I decide to play Wii bowling. I only had 2 controllers, so my future Bill and I decided to share one. After his first round, he said squirrel, heads up, and tossed the controller to me. I didn't react in time and I watched the controller fall straight into my glass of wine. The way it fell in was so perfect, it didn't even splash. It didn't even hit the sides of the glass. It was just sploosh and was sticking out of my glass like a fat straw. It was the most perfect, hilarious thing I have ever seen. If we had videotaped it, it would have looked staged. It was that perfect of a throw. I could not stop laughing, but Bill was so upset. He was freaking out and kept insisting he would buy me a new one. I told him it was fine and we could just clean it off. We did that and it worked perfectly. The wine stained the cord purple though, so I always knew which controller fell in the wine. To this day, I still affectionately refer to it as Bill's name's controller. That's awesome. +1 to you for not losing your crap, and +1 to your bill for immediately offering to buy a new one. D&D. So my friend was DM minor campaign and I was a consistent player. My character had a minor crush, stupid teenage love, with a character whose best definition is morally grey. Another person, who didn't like me in real life, would guest star as an edgelord fighter with 2 katanas. He made it his mission to kill my character's crush. At one point, there was a large brawl and my character witnessed him strike my crush. I casted Thunderwave with a low DC, but he somehow failed and fell off the roof of the house. He wound up going unconscious from the spell, and took falling damage which led to him failing his first save. When he rolled for his second, he got a 1 and critical failed, which counts as 2 fails. 3 failed saves and you dead. He starts this loud unintelligible screeching, saying I had no reason to do that. I had it out for him. Everything was my fault. He spent hours on that character. He was a huge plot point. Ad infinitum. My friend, the DM, asked me about my motivation for striking an ally, and I explained that my character had feelings for his childhood friend and trusted her more than the ally of a group of mercenaries that he didn't trust in the first place. Seeing him strike his friend would be ample reason to attack. Also, my character wouldn't have any idea how close he was to death without metagaming, something my friend was a stickler about. In the end, his character stayed dead and my character had to work out a deal to earn the trust of the mercs. He wasn't invited back to play. My wife and I had a poker tourney at our place with about 15 people. After 4 hours only my wife and I were left standing. I had a lot more chips than her. All the guests left for the night. I start to clean up, but she begins demanding that we finish. I try to explain it's our money so it doesn't matter, but she won't have it and is visibly upset. I immediately went all in on the next 2 bad hands and basically handed her the money so I could go to bed. We divorced a few years later. I don't know about you, but when I play poker with friends it is not about the money, but about the winning. I don't blame her. Sorry about your divorce though. It was me. I was the one that lost it. In retrospect it was a bit over the top. It was in a game of Risk. I was sweeping through Asia leaving behind 1 or 2 in each country as I made my way to Africa. I got all of Asia and I had the majority of my forces in the Middle East and I was going to move into Egypt, but I wanted to wait 1 turn, gather a bigger force. I was about to end my turn when the guy in Egypt proposed a 1-turn truce. He said that if I didn't attack him for 1 turn he would return the favor, and that would allow me to cover my borders with a more even spread. I agreed. We shook hands and I spread my forces out. It was then his turn. To my utter shock he gathered everyone he had into Egypt and proceeded to wreck all of my forces in Asia and took me out. That bastard broke his word. I will never trust him again. He said that he regularly does this kind of thing knowing that he can only do it once. The group of people he plays with. I lost my cool, and man's woad is his bond. You know what? That wasn't crazy to be upset. He broke a sacred pact, the handshake, the verbal contract with witnesses. Never again. And that is why I have trust issues. Should have sealed the pact with blood. I'm a bit hazy on the details but I'll give it a go. Had a friend who back in middle school got into a heated Minecraft argument with his friend. Due to this his friend burned up his statue of SpongeKnob Squarenuts in retaliation. As a result of that my friend completely severed ties with this freaking dude. My friend unfriended him on Xbox, and as retaliation his friend came over to his house and unfriended everyone on his account. I know this is the most hilariously over the top crap. Friendship was pretty much done there. He didn't talk to him until one day we invited him to our Discord years later after we were all out of high school for a Civ game. At that point my friend forgot why he stopped talking to him. Sponge, knob, square, nuts, okay. My brother was trying out Skyrim and he got upset that he couldn't buy the home in Whiterun at level 2 with 200 gold, all without killing the dragon. I explained it to him many times but he rage quit the game and never touched it again. No pain no gain. Had a guy who had just entered our game try to kill multiple characters when they were asleep or on downtime. His rationale was I'm an assassin. I kill people for fun and this mucking around town is boring. Actually managed to successfully poison our wizard to death. Low HP. And sorry not sorry apologized while giggling. Sorry man, I didn't think your guy was that weak. Our warrior straight up killed his character when he found out what happened. The guy had openly announced to the barkeeper that only he would deliver the drinks to his friend the mage. Smooth. The guy overreacted, throwing a fit about our warrior's player overreacting and just killing his character in an alley. Guy declared that we were ganging up on him and left, presumably to cry or blog about it. Our warrior nailed the guy's character's corpse to his tower shield and never removed it, even reattaching it to new ones as he upgraded. We named it the bro board. When you go to shop a comic book store while they are playing, they get pissy when they have to deal with a customer. I've had this happen a few times at a local place where the owner would show out to his buddies because he had a patron wanting to pay money for goods. I now shop online for my comics. I swear many comic book shop owners seem like they don't actually want money, they just want to justify their lifestyle. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to purchase things and ended up leaving with nothing instead. Various stores in the area too. Dungeon Master got angry that I wanted my bear, Senoroso, I was a ranger, to speak a mystical, fake language, Spanish, but nobody would understand him. He said no. The group protested. It devolved into a huge fight and he broke up the party. Senoroso, T extrano. This is why session 0 is so important. I was at a Pokemon Go raid and this dude, grown man with a wife and kids, says I am done with Team Instinct. Seriously, do you see what they did earlier today? Unacceptable. I don't know what our team did to him, but to be done with roughly 1/3 of the players in this game because of something a few people did is pretty absurd. Also, it's a game. Also, I want to clarify I'm not judging him for playing Pokemon as an adult. I'm judging him for getting so butthurt over something like this as an adult. Honestly, in about 90% of places nobody has any kind of right to talk crap about Team Instinct, the least populated team by a wide margin. As a yellow player, holding a gym means taking it like fricking 3 AM if I don't want it to get swiped back within 5 minutes. I was on Madden 15 playing my first ever online game and some weird British dude was my opponent and was talking over Xbox Live despite me not having a headset. It was only the first drive but I hit Greg Jennings for a 50-yard touchdown and he paused the game, swore at me for 2 minutes with his British accent, and rage quit 1 minute into the game. Holy frick, that might have been me. This guy in an online chat whined and bitched out another guy in a Discord conversation. He had been losing game after game in Smash Bros Brawl and he claimed that he was ganged up on by the other players. Not true, but in reality he was just a terrible player. But what really got me the most was the whiner was also the admin of that page and abused his admin privileges to change the other player's username to Knee. Brawl. I was playing against my sister one time and picked DK, wanting to try a move I had seen a friend use. We play stock. I have 3 lives left, she has 1. She plays Ike. Lure Ike to the edge, grab and ground pound him, throw him on my back and walk off the side of Final Destination. Boy did I get crap for that move. This guy doxed me after a Rocket League game and I said I would post our convo on our Fun and Sad. To which he started looking through my social media and then said I only go to Reddit parties and I asked him if he wanted to come to a concert I was attending with my friends that night. No response. Me, 30 something, pregnant female who is babysitting a little boy, him, an 8-year-old boy who just got Madden for Christmas. He must have wanted to show off because he asked me to play and told me all about how his touch football team plays. It was fine until he started talking smack. Big smack about me being a don't know sports dummy, who was prob a cheerleading girl. Oh, no, you don't know me. You don't know that I played Madden for all of middle school. I demolished him. Now, I played fair, never trash talked, and didn't rub it in, but he still had to take a break to his room to get something, but I heard him crying. Poor guy. I suggested that we play something else and got him back in good spirits. He came back out and suggested we play another game. Had I ever heard of GoldenEye? That child's foundations were absolutely shook that day. Fantastic. I was GMing a 3rd edition Shadowrun campaign and we'd invited one of our friends to join who had never played a tabletop RPG before. We gave him a cursory explanation of the game's rules and mechanics, let him pick one of the Pregen characters I had on hand, and started the session. About an hour into the game he rolls a bunch of dice, slides them into a group and says, "Dang man, next roll I make I'm using this one. Look at all of those 6s." I chuckled and told him that it didn't work that way, and he angrily disagreed. I calmly tried to tell him why he couldn't do things that way and he just got angrier and louder, until he was screaming and cursing and threatening me, at which point a couple of other players stood up and told him to calm down. He screamed at us all to FCK off, then stormed out of the house and started walking home, 10 miles from town. A few weeks later we gave him a second chance, and other than a few small disagreements he was just fine for the rest of the campaign. Well, at least he was willing to change. Not really crazy, but my friend was once playing Risk. I suppose it was a particularly long game and he got bored, so he shouted AIDS and took his arm and wiped out the entire board. No one plays with him anymore. When you stop playing Risk and switch to Plague Inc. Evolved tabletop version. Destiny 2. Guy was super P. We couldn't complete an encounter in the main raid. And I don't mean frustrated. I mean, actually P off. Just got fired because of someone else's freak up P off. I could actually hear him punching the dang wall every time we wiped and he would yell and scream at us. Me, specifically. Not because I was causing it to wipe. BTW. Because his taking the game so seriously was incredibly hilarious to me, so I kept laughing when we wipe. Kicking my sister's butt in Monopoly. Every time we play it as a family, she always freaks out when I own all of the major spots and she loses. Orange Monopoly is best. You have the highest chance of moving from jail, from being sent to jail. 2 of the properties are 6 and 8 spaces from jail, the second most likely numbers on a pair of dice. One time I was the guy who freaked out. My first semester of college. 3 of my roommates and I downloaded Age of Empires 3. We would play all the time. However, one of the roommates, let's call him Shithead, would always brag about how good he was and brag when he was doing well, and then when he would do poorly he would blame the game. Hahaha, I'm totally raping you guys. Immediately followed by, man, the Japanese are so OP, that's why you're winning. It was annoying as frick. Eventually I had enough. I challenged him to a 1v1 for all the marbles and he would have to admit I was better and there would be no more discussion of the matter. He agreed. I wasted his butt. He claimed something was unfair. We played again. I wasted his butt again. He claims it's because I've played the Japanese so much he couldn't beat me cause I have all the supply drops unlocked. We play with factions we've never played before. I wasted his butt again. He claims it's because the factions are unbalanced. We both play the same faction that we've both never played. I waste his butt again. He wants a rematch. He finally wins because I make a mistake. He goes, "See, I'm the best." I freaking lost it. I cursed him out like I've never cursed out a person before. I was so mad. All this pent up aggression shithead from months of him acting like the most pompous but released. He manipulated me into thinking I was the bad person at the end of the conversation. Eventually we parted ways. Oh, and he owes me $34. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.